Hey everyone. So today I want to give you a little walkthrough on one of my most recent land acquisitions. Now, if you've been following me on social media, you might have already heard that I purchased a plot of land in Northern Ontario for 50 cents on the dollar with a seller financing component. I want to give you guys a little inside look on this land acquisition that I just purchased. So every once in a while, what I'll do as a real estate investor is I'll look at the market and I'll look at all the regular websites that everyone looks at. These websites are usually Centris if I'm looking to purchase in Quebec, Realtor.ca if I'm looking to purchase elsewhere in Canada, and Zillow.com if I'm looking to purchase a property in the United States of America. This specific land deal was in Ontario. So I actually started looking for deals on Realtor.ca. Now, I came across this plot of land that was for sale on Realtor.ca with a residential real estate broker. At the time that it was for sale, it was listed at $115,000. So the seller was on the open real estate market asking $115,000 for a 7,400 square foot plot of land. This plot of land was actually on the market for 1 year with a residential real estate broker. After a year on the market, not being able to sell, the property then became expired. Now you see, plots of land in this specific area of Ontario were all selling between $85,000 and $90,000. This means at the very minimal, this owner was trying to sell the land for $15,000 over the market value. See, at the time of purchasing the property, within the sector of this lot, we're selling at $90,000 with some lots as low as $85,000. Once the property came off the market, I then was able to contact the seller directly. See, when it was listed with a real estate agent, I would have had to have passed through a real estate agent in order to talk to the seller. Now, I have nothing against realtors. I actually respect what they do. I started off my career as a real estate broker. But anytime there's a real estate broker involved in a purchase or a sale, there's an extra layer of interest within the deal. You see, when you're purchasing a plot of land or a property or any type of real estate, there's two interests. There's the seller's interest and the buyer's interest. When there's a realtor brokering the transaction, there is now a third interest in the deal, the realtor. For example, his commission becomes an interest. The realtor's commission might actually be the difference between the asking price on the market and the market value that other lots of land were being sold for. So the listing now became expired after 1 year on the market with a real estate broker at a bare minimum of $15,000 over market value. This allowed me to contact the owner directly. Now, by contacting the owner directly, it allows for a much smoother transaction. There's no middleman involved, communication is more efficient, and there's less back and forth. Once I made contact with the owner, I asked him, why was his price so high? I told him that the comparables in the area were selling for $85,000. Why was he listed at $115,000? The owner's justification for all this was that he was the only plot of land within 3 streets of that sector that was undeveloped. See, on his current street, there was 14 other houses. There was 14 plots of land that had houses developed on them. He was the only lot that was undeveloped. He then thought that this actually raised the value of the plot of land. Unfortunately, this couldn't be further than the truth. So the seller asked me to make an offer. Being a real estate investor, I would never purchase a plot of land for $15,000 over the market value. It's just not a smart decision to make if you're a real estate investor. As real estate investors, we always look to purchase property or land with built-in equity. I then made him a very straightforward but aggressive offer. I offered the seller municipal value for his lot. Now, municipal value for this property was $55,000. Let's take a second to reflect on this. He was asking, we'll brighten up the colors here, $115,000 for his lot of land that was selling for a minimum of $90,000 or even $85,000, because that was the range of sales for similar lots in the area. So I made the owner an offer at municipal value, which was $55,000. This means that I made an offer at 47% of the asking price. The owner was a little bit reluctant to accept. He then came back with a counter offer. He countered at $95,000. I told him, unfortunately, listen, it's going to be a no-go for me. Thank you, but keep my number. If ever you have any other properties or any other plots of land, I'd love to hear about them. 3 weeks later, the owner had then contacted me again. He had told me that he was willing to consider taking my offer of $55,000. I told him that was great, but unfortunately that offer was made 3 weeks ago, and I since then moved on and tied up my capital in another acquisition project, not thinking that he would come back and be willing to take my offer. So we decided to explore other options on how we could get a deal done. I told him that considering my capital had been tied up, I could no longer go forward with this deal because my money was involved in another project. That's when the owner told me that he was willing to do a seller financing upon a very small down payment in order to help the deal go through. So he accepted my offer of $55,000, which was 47.8% of his original asking price. Now, at the bare minimum, lots in the area were selling for $85,000. This means that when he accepted my offer at $55,000, I just purchased a plot of land with $30,000 of built-in equity. I purchased a plot of land at 47.8% with $30,000 of built-in equity. But that's not even the best part. Because the owner owned the land free and clear, which means he had no mortgage on it, he had essentially purchased it cash. This allowed him to provide a seller financing, or VTB, known as vendor take-back. All he wanted from me was to show good faith and put down a small deposit of $10,000, which I agreed to because I had enough capital to put down that deposit. We then passed in front of a notary. I put down the $10,000 deposit, and we then passed in front of a lawyer to transfer the title. So the current VTB, vendor take-back or seller financing, was for $45,000. He provided the seller financing based on a 15-year term. This means that he's giving me up to 15 years to pay off $45,000 that he provided on a 0% vendor take-back. So a $45,000 seller financing 0% interest deal allows me to pay $250.20 a month in order to purchase this land. Essentially, this is a win-win for me and the seller. Because the seller owns the property free and clear, it allows for a creative financial structure such as the vendor take-back at 0% interest, and it allows me low and flexible monthly payment options with a monthly commitment of $250.20. It also allows the seller to defer capital gains. See, because at the end of the year, he doesn't declare the $45,000 that he sold. He only has to declare 12 months of payments at $250 per month. This allows him to defer the capital gains. Instead of paying capital gains on a full $55,000 deal, one shot, he then gets to break up his capital gains of up to 15 years based on the loan term. For me, this deal was a no-brainer. I purchased a plot of land for 50 cents on the dollar, 37.8% of the value to be exact, with $235,000 of built-in equity, a 0% monthly payment, $250.20 per month, up to 15 years on a payment term. Now, as for the plot of land, because the purchase is so fresh, it's only been about 3 weeks since I notarized it, we're still exploring options on what we're gonna do with this exact project. Just to give you a full rundown of this deal, I purchased it at 47.8% of the asking price, built-in equity of $85,000, flexible 0% seller financing. That means I didn't have to qualify with a bank. I didn't have to go through a mortgage process. I didn't have to do anything but put down a small down payment to show the seller good faith. And I now own a 7,400 square foot plot of land in an area of Ontario that is the only undeveloped plot within 3 city blocks. So this land currently sits on a block with 14 developed houses waiting to be built on. If you guys want to find out exactly how you could find these types of deals and put together a creative financing deal structure just like this deal, be sure to hit the subscribe button and follow us for more content just like this.